happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. Now, you guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely going to want to check this one out. So we got that smug CNN host Kaitlan Collins once again proving to us that she is the reason why they include instructions on the back of the shampoo bottles. We now have Borders or Tom Homan laying into her with the facts, giving her a brutal reality check, guys. I'm excited to get into this one, so we're not straight into it. All I ask that you guys please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's get straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
Talked to the lawyers when he was asked about Judge Boasberg's ruling that probable cause exists to hold officials in criminal contempt potentially for violating his orders. Do you think that any of your colleagues have violated orders here?
No, I don't. I think we follow the judge's order. I think we'll let that litigate in court. No, DOJ is fighting that in court, but I don't think we did anything wrong.
And so you're not worried about any of the conversations when it came to Judge Boasberg saying, turn the deportation flights around, and yet they continued to make their way to El Salvador?
Well, you know, I think the information shows those planes were already in the air in international water, as far as I know. So I don't think we did anything wrong. According to his written order, I think we did everything by the numbers.
And so you're not ultimately worried here that anyone will be held in contempt or anything like that as they continue this fact-finding investigation overall on this effort?
No, I'm not concerned about it. I mean, fact find all they want. I think the evidence is clear. I think DOJ's made a strong case, and we'll let it play out in court. I mean, as I sit here today talking to you, I don't think anybody in the administration did anything wrong. I don't think we've actually violated a court order.
So we have two judges here. That's Judge Boasberg's ruling that we found yesterday that the president was asked about. The other judge here, the federal judge in Maryland, Judge Zinnes, has been criticizing the government this week for what she says is doing, quote, nothing to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the United States. Are you personally aware of any steps that have been taken to facilitate his return to the United States?
Look, I think he's a citizen of El Salvador. He's in El Salvador. He's home. He's an illegal alien with a final order of removal. He's a MS-13 member, which is now classified as a terrorist. So we removed an illegal alien, MS-13 member, who has a final order of removal issued by an immigration judge to his homeland.
So should I read that as to say nothing has been done to bring him back to the United States? That's what it sounds like.
I can't speak to everybody in the administration. I can just tell you what my stance is, and I think we did the right thing. I think he's where he should be, and the order of withholding that everybody keeps talking about, order of withholding is you set aside because he's a designated terrorist, which order of withholding is meaningless, I believe, according to the attorneys. And look, even if he came back, people think he's going to be released and go back to no, he's going to be detained. And he's going to be removed as per the order of removal, either to El Salvador or another country. So this person has an order of removal. He's seen two different immigration judges, and he's been ordered deported. And that's exactly what happened.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that withholding removal order essentially said the one place he can't go is El Salvador, where he's from. He claimed that he was concerned he could be persecuted if he was returned. Why not simply have him return to the U.S., detain him, and then deport him to a third country? Wouldn't that be in accordance with the law?
I think we're in accordance with the law. I mean, I'm not an attorney. I'm not DOJ fighting this case. But my opinion, and the years I spent doing this job, he is now designated a terrorist. The withholding orders is set aside. And we got to remember, the withholding order was issued years ago. Things have changed. El Salvador is one of the safest countries in the region because of the steps President Bukele take. You know, the gangs are no longer operating on the streets of Venezuela, in El Salvador. That's why he built that prison. So I don't think the gang danger that they once thought was there is even there anymore. So the situation has changed. It's much like temporary protected status, the TPS. That's only temporary. When the conditions in the country have changed, TPS can be ended and they can be removed to the country.
But why not make that argument in court? If you think that you can make the argument that he is fine to go back to El Salvador, why not just make that argument and try to terminate that order that said that the one place he couldn't go to was the one place that he was sent to?
Look, again, I'm not litigating this case to the DOJ. I think DOJ is continuing to litigate the case, but I think we're in a good stance. I think we're in a good place. Again, I'm not an attorney. I can just speak to my experience as a guy who enforces immigration law, but I think that DOJ has a strong case, and I think we're standing by what we did was the correct thing to do.
Has the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to your knowledge, attempted to revise that withholding removal order?
I have not spoken to Pam Bondi about this.
You mentioned the Justice Department. One thing that has been on my mind as we've been covering this is President Trump was in office in 2019 when an immigration judge granted this withholding removal status to Abrego Garcia. It was the Trump Justice Department then that decided not to appeal it or fight it. Do you believe that they should have here?
Well, the conditions of the country are different now than they were back then. Maybe the condition of the country is one that the withholding made sense. I mean, I wasn't familiar with the case back in the first administration, but a lot of things could have changed since then. The condition of the country could change. The ruling could change. The facts of the case could change. I'm not familiar on the investigation, the removal from back in the Trump 45, but I'm sure DOJ is well aware of it, and they're litigating it as they seem appropriate.
But are they litigating it? Because what we heard from the Attorney General essentially the other day was that it's out of their hands to have him return to the United States, that it's up to the president of El Salvador.
Well, that's a question for Pam Bondi. The DOJ has their mission. I have my mission. That's a question for her.
But you are someone who's worked in immigration for decades, and you have a view here that you believe that this was the right move ultimately to have him sent here. But wouldn't the proper stance here essentially be to contest this in court, to try to terminate that order and then have him sent, and then you wouldn't be in the middle of this massive legal fight that is playing out over where the administration's right is here and whether or not they violated a court order?
I don't think they violated court order. I think we did the right thing, and I think it's been litigated by DOJ, and I'll let them fight that out in court or not fight out in court. But I think we did the right thing. As far as what we should do next in judicial process or litigation, I'll leave it up to DOJ. That's their job.
But of course, you are someone who is at the center of the immigration fight and deporting people who are here illegally. This one individual.
How's that the center of the immigration fight and all these? It's just, Kaitlan, no one asks these questions about the proper vetting of the millions of people the Biden administration pushed across the border, at least in this country illegally. No one's concerned about the vetting then. All of a sudden now everybody wants to be concerned about the vetting of people that even be deported. I mean, it seems like a one-side show, but I stand by the fact that I think things were done right with this case. He's an MS-13 gang member. He has a final order of removal. He is a designated terrorist, and he's back in El Salvador, his homeland. And anything beyond that, we'll let the courts settle on it.
You say everything was done right here. And I heard Stephen Miller in the Oval Office on Monday also arguing that he was lawfully deported. But this administration has admitted in court that he was mistakenly deported, that he should not have been deported.
Look, they say there's administrative error, but if you look at the case, if I look at the case as a non-attorney, just an enforcement officer, I think things were done right. Again, they're talking about, well, it might have been a paper error about the withholding, but if we look at the case and he's designated terrorist, I think that withholding has been set aside. That is my opinion. But again, we'll let DOJ fight it out.
Well, I mean, the Solicitor General, it was the third in the chain of command at the DOJ, has said that this was an error.
Then I'll let them deal with it. I'm giving you my opinion. I said I'm not going to get in the middle of what DOJ is arguing in court. I'm telling you, from my stance, what we've done, I believe, is correct, and that's why DOJ is standing by the fact that what we did was right.
I've seen some people look at this and say they're worried that the stance of this administration when it comes to this is that if someone is deported by accident, that they have no responsibility for them once they are in the custody of a foreign government. What would you say to that?
Well, they're in the custody of El Salvador. He's an El Salvadoran national. He was born in El Salvador. El Salvador has him in custody, and El Salvador decide what will happen to him. I mean, again, the El Salvadoran president made it clear he's not going to release him. So again, I'm going to go back. The DOJ, they can fight this out in the courts. As I'm not a part of that. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. So we'll let the courts decide what the next steps will be.
Even though it was a U.S. immigration judge who said The one place he can't go is El Salvador. I mean, he could have been deported literally anywhere else.
Again, we can keep going back and back, but again, that was years ago. Country conditions were different. That gang no longer exists in El Salvador. He had been designated a terrorist since that time. 2 different federal judges said he's an MS-13 member. A police department said he's an MS-13 member. ICE data shows he's an MS-13 member. El Salvador says he's an MS-13 member. As you know, MS-13 has been designated terrorist. The case says the facts of the case have changed since that first decision. So again, I'll leave it up to the DOJ to argue that case in court, but that is where I stand, and that's my belief.
Yeah, it was 6 years ago, of course, when that happened when Trump was in office.
Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness. Smug CNN reporter Kaitlan Collins once again doing it again. She's asking the same question over and over and over again. Trump is exactly right to say that Kaitlan Collins just goes down that road and doesn't stop. She's looking for a gotcha moment or gotcha question out of Border Czar Tom Homan, but she didn't realize that she had the wrong one. Border Czar Tom Homan is not going to, cut corners. He's going to call it straight how it is. He's not beating around the bush. If this man was here illegally, whether he was a gang member or not, this guy was here in our country illegally. He got sent back to his hometown, his home country, I should say. I'm not sure why Kaitlan Collins, she can't get that through her thick skull. I'm surprised to see that she still has a slot over there at CNN, the way that she just goes down that same road. She doesn't try to, okay, I hear you out. All right, so he was here illegally. Okay, so there's no way he's coming back. Okay, so what are the next steps for the administration? None of that. It's just the same nasty and rude toned messaging and questions that she asked over and over and over again. Kudos to Tom Homan for being able to sit through that. I don't know how long. My patience would have ran thin a long time ago. That was 10 minutes of Kaitlan Collins trying to run him into a corner, run him off the cliff, and guess what? It didn't work because Border Czar Tom Homan, he's very solid in his stance. He knows exactly what the Trump administration's mission is, their agenda. There is no getting him to deviate from the program or slip up and say something he doesn't mean to, because he knows this was the right thing to do. This is what we voted Donald Trump in for, and we're seeing exactly what he promised on the campaign trail being carried out during his term, guys. That was Kaitlan Collins. I need you guys definitely to hop in the comment section for that. Well, comments are open. There was a lot going on there. So excited to hear what you guys are thinking on this one. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next one.